What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Marz Pod. I am Nathan Marz, joined by Brennan Eckel, and it is a very exciting time. We have Packers football starting tomorrow. NFL is back, one of the best seasons of the year. I know I'm excited for it. Brandon, how are you feeling about tomorrow? How are you feeling about NFL season being back in general?
Same as you, super excited. Really looking forward to this Packers season. Going to be an interesting one, and I think a really fun one. So
I am slightly more of like a Bucks basketball guy, but I don't know, something about football Sundays just is like I don't know, that's just it's so great because it's like one day a week. You just kind of devote your entire day to watching football, and I'm just excited to have those back. Follow my fantasy teams. I'm in like 5 or 6 leagues, so I have a lot of guys to follow, but yeah, excited to just have football Sundays back. So we're gonna go through and do some Packers a schedule prediction, and then for each of us, and then also just some other picks, other stuff to talk about, other like potential like questions to ask guys, over under a certain amount of yards, certain amount of touchdowns. Basically just asking us how we're going to feel for each player, each scenario, and for these different games in this season. So let's get into it, and starting with the schedule prediction. Week 1 tomorrow at the Saints, 3:25. I'll go first in this one. I have the Packers winning this game. I don't think it's going to be that close. Jameis Winston is going to be the quarterback for the Saints, and I don't necessarily trust him. I know their defense was good last year. I know they have Alvin Kamara, and that's definitely scary. A running back like that against the Packers, I think, can do some damage. But that team is not. I don't think they're good enough to beat us. And it's now at a neutral site, which the Packers fans travel well. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot of Packer fans there. I don't think the Packers should have too much trouble here. I think they win by, honestly, probably double digits. I don't know how you feel.
yeah, I feel the same. I honestly think we might blow them out in the 37 to 17 range, something like that. I think we'll win by multiple touchdowns. Might have to take the Packers to cover tomorrow. Might have to talk to you later about that.
I know. I was looking at it. I was like, they're 3.5 point favorites, which seems very low to me.
Yeah, that's very low.
Vegas always knows, so they probably know something we don't. All right, let's get into week 2, home game against the Lions. It's the Lions. It's at home. I'm giving us a win here. Lions now have Jared Goff at quarterback this year, so I think that is definitely a downgrade. Their receivers, they don't have really anyone. Like, their offense just is and their defense is bad too, but their offense is not going to be very good. I mean, DeAndre Swift is kind of like their lone little bright spot where he should be good. He should be good for the future. But other than that, they don't really have any good receivers. They don't really, Jared Goff is not really an exciting option at quarterback. And defensively, there's just a lot of issues. So I don't think we have any trouble with them, especially at home. So 2-0 I have in the first 2 weeks. I'm assuming you probably have this as a win as well.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah, it's going to be a tough year to be a Lion fan, that's for sure.
I don't mean, we hate the Vikings, we hate the Bears. I don't really hate the Lions. Like, the Lions,
yeah, I know.
I hate them for it. Like, if the Lions were good, I'd be like, hey, honestly, good for them. They kind of deserve it after all these years of being terrible. But week 3 at the Niners, and this is like I'm gonna let you go first in this one because I'm not really I know what my pick is, but I want to hear yours first. So
I think the Niners could definitely figure it out over the course of the season, but I think this is a really good time to be playing them. Obviously, they got the whole – I don't know, is Garoppolo starting, or I don't really know.
It sounds like Garoppolo's probably going to start, and then I'm assuming by week 2 or 3, like I'm assuming by this game, Trey Lance would be the starter.
Seeing, if say Lance comes out first game against the Packers, I don't see him beating us. I have us as a win, to 3-0. Like I said, they could be an interesting team come later on, but also if you got a rookie quarterback, you never know.
Yeah, and I probably do feel less confident against Garoppolo. For some reason, I think this is going to be a loss. It's on the road. Their defense is really freaking good. It scares me all the time because that's how you beat. You're going to have a good defense to beat the Packers. You're not going to just outscore them. That scares me. Their running game's good with Mostert. They now have Trey Sermon, and if Lance is in there, that's a mobile quarterback who could give us trouble. I'm going to mark it on as a loss. I don't know, just something about that game kind of scares me, and it being on the road and everything. So I have us 2-1, and then we go to week 4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, and I have this as a win, bouncing back here. The Steelers don't scare me much. I'm not a big Steelers believer. They have some talent offensively. Najee Harris, not running back, Big Ben quarterback. They got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, all those guys. But and a decent defense. But overall, I mean, I am not a huge Big Ben guy anymore. I think he's starting to get kind of washed up. I think they're a good like fantasy team, but they seem to kind of fall behind a lot, and they chuck a lot to catch up and stuff like that. But I don't believe in the Steelers very much. Their offensive line is very bad. So not expecting them to be great. I think they'll be middle of the pack. And if this was a road game, I'd be definitely more closer to giving us a loss. But I think at home we take care of them. So I'm pushing us to 3-1.
Yeah, same for me. 4-0, but pretty much same thing you said. I used to always like Big Ben, and I mean, I still like the guy, but like you said, he's getting kind of washed up. He's getting old. He can't, he never really has been a runner, obviously, but he's not mobile. So they got crazy good weapons, but especially at home, I don't see us losing to them.
And then week 5 at Cincinnati. Now, I like Cincinnati. They're just like, they got a lot of talent. They got some exciting players. Burrow, Mixon, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, all those guys. But they're not beating us. And especially with that defense, I don't think they're beating us. They're, two very key aspects of the game, their offensive line and their defense, are really holding them back. But I mean, just for the future, and if they can fix those things, they could definitely be a team down the road, in later years that are able to actually make some noise with the talent that they have. But we're not yet, so I'm picking us to win that game.
Yeah, I have a win as well, and I feel like, especially with being young, with the talent they have, there's gonna be games they win, that they probably shouldn't, and then there's gonna be games they blow because of the inexperience. But against a team like us with veteran leadership on offense, stuff like that, should be a somewhat easy win on the road.
Yeah. All right, week 6 at the Bears. So I have us starting 4-1 in our first 5. You have 5-0. Week 6 at Chicago. I'm interested to hear what you think of this one. What are you calling?
I have a win here. I was a little tempted to go with a loss, but Chicago's going to have to, prove throughout the season that they're somebody to be scared of, because I'm still not scared of them. I'm really not scared of anyone in the division this year other than potentially the Vikings, I guess. But
yeah, I was tempted to give us a loss here. Bears defense is really good. And, Fields has looked good, and I mean, they're starting Andy Dalton, but I'm assuming by this time Fields would be the quarterback. He's looked good, but I don't know. And I did give us the loss to Trey Lance. I know, so I'm not saying rookie quarterbacks can't beat us, but like you said, I feel like there is a ways to go before I'm completely sold on them. I think their team outside of Fields is not as good as the Niners outside of Lance. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm not very confident they could completely beat us. I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm going to pick us to get the win here. I think this will be kind of an important win. I tweeted out today, we're going to get to it. Weeks 8 through 16 are very, very difficult. So winning these type of games, getting these wins, you have a 6-0, I have us 5-1. It's going to be pretty key to making sure that we don't have to win a bunch of games against tough teams in this weeks 8 to 17 or 8 to 16 stretch.
Yeah.
If we're needing those type of wins, it just puts a lot of pressure on them to get some wins against difficult opponents. It's nice to kind of clean up the easy ones so that you can afford to drop a couple later and at least keep a high seed. So we both have us off to strong starts, which I think is going to be very important. And I think they will. I mean, this top of the schedule is not very difficult. We get to week 7 against Washington, the Washington football team. So I have us winning that one as well, moving to 6-1 at home. I don't think they're beating us. A decent defense. They could keep it close. They could kind of make this thing an ugly, closer game than expected. They have Fitzpatrick now at quarterback, which should help. They have Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, so some nice offensive pieces. But I don't think they have quite enough to beat us, especially in Lambeau. So I have a 6-1.
I mean, I do agree with you, and I was going back and forth, but I have us taking a loss here, partially because, I don't know, 2 road games coming back home. Washington, their defense was, I don't want to say sneaky good, but, some people, I guess, maybe didn't really talk about it last year. It just seems like one of those trap home games right before they have a tough stretch where, maybe they're not as focused and, they lose. So
I like this because I always say, like, you look back on the year every year and there's just losses that happen that you're like, that's not one you would normally predict, but it just kind of happens. This is one of those where, like, you kind of try to get out in front of it and just say, this is going to be one of those unpredictable, like, you're not expect a surprise loss that you're kind of like, oh, dang. I definitely, and as I said, they can keep it close. I'm not saying they can't beat us. I don't think they have quite enough to do that, but they do have some of the pieces. They have, good running game. They have an offensive weapon in Terry McLaurin, a decent quarterback, and a good defense. So they can certainly do it. If it was on the road, I'd probably give us a loss here, but it being at home, I'm going to give us the win. But I do like that call. I like that because a lot of people just go with the basic, like, oh, and I'm kind of doing that in mind. I feel like with a basic, okay, these are probably the games you're going to lose, so I'll just give those games the losses. This is one of those, hey, this will be a surprise, so try to get out in front of it.
Yeah.
So I like that call. And as I said, now we get to the very difficult part of the schedule. Looking at that, I'm just going to name off the games: at Cardinals, at Chiefs, versus Seattle, at Vikings, versus the Rams, versus the Bears, at the Ravens, versus the Browns, versus the Vikings. That is 9 very difficult games in a row. Like, none of those games are just like, easy wins where you go into it saying, we can play bad and still win. It's going to be key. We both have a 6-1 going into these games. That will be key, as I already mentioned. Get off to a good start so that you can, you have something to work with. You have if you do lose, it's not the end of the world. Whereas if they're, 4-3 somehow after these first 7 games, you're kind of in trouble because all of a sudden you lose 3 to 4 of these tough ones, which is very possible. You're at 6-7 losses already. So getting off to that good start will be key. And now we get to at Arizona week 8. And I do have us losing this because a mobile quarterback scares me. Their defense isn't great and not very good. But the mobile quarterback does scare me, it being on the road. And good running game, DeAndre Hopkins. Like, the recipe is there for us to lose this game. So I am going to give us a loss to the Cardinals.
I have a win here. This is another one where it's, I don't want to say a trap game, but like I think this is a Thursday night game. So
yes, that's right. I forgot to mention that.
The short week on the road, that's definitely one I could see. But kind of when we talked about early our first preview of the season, it was kind of like there's times where it's like, well, I don't see us losing this, but like if we win this one, like it's around that range. So I have a win here just based on some of the other games coming up.
Yeah.
But this is another game that's, I don't want to say scares me, but could see it slipping away.
And like you said, I mean, if you have them losing to the game before to the football team, then it's like, okay, you probably don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row. They might snap back and win. I have them winning that game going, I have them on a 4-game win streak going into it. So maybe a little surprise loss here. Like it changes based on kind of the games before and after.
Right.
So. And also, I forgot to mention the Lions game week 2 is Monday Night Football. The Niners game week 3 is Sunday Night Football. So just to put those in there. Next, we have week 9, the most difficult game of the year at the Chiefs. And I'll let you go first in this one. What do you think?
I don't want to say it's a basic pick, but I have a loss here. I think we're on par with Kansas City. If we end up in the Super Bowl against them, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, like I don't like our chances. But, on the road, it's going to be tough. This is a tough part of the schedule. Back-to-back road games. It's going to be a longer week, so that would help us, coming off a Thursday night game. But yeah, so I got them losing that.
I have us winning this game. I know it's kind of a gutsy call, but yeah, the long week I think helps. And I don't know, the Chiefs do have their weak spots. Their defense isn't great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And the offensive line, as they've improved it, but it's still not great. So there's, the path is there for us to beat them. We're right on par with them offensively. So if our defense can show up a little bit, force some turnovers or something against Mahomes. I mean, let's just say I'm really, really freaking excited for that game.
Yeah.
So we can finally get Rodgers Mahomes because last time we were supposed to get it, Mahomes was out. I'm super excited for that game. So it should be fantastic. And really, either way, I mean, you're not going to be mad about a loss here, but I think this will be kind of, and again, I was losing the game before, so I think we're going to bounce back and are able to get a huge win. I definitely think we go, we both have it. I think we go 1-1 against Cardinals Chiefs. We're going to lose one with the other. That's my best guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, two very tough road games against the Cardinals and Chiefs. We both have a 7-2 after 9 games, and then week 10 at home against Seattle. And I do have us winning this one as well. Another, big, good win. I think that'll kind of, these two games will kind of shut the doubters up if there are any, and prove that we are, again, one of the better teams in the league. Seattle still has their offensive line. It struggles a little bit, not as bad as last year, and their defense has not been good. So at home, I think we should be able to take care of the Seahawks. The Seahawks are kind of like, they're always contending, but not like, I don't know if they're ever really like a Super Bowl pick, but they are always right. Like they're always a team that you know are going to be good because of Russell Wilson and because they have some talent, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all those guys. But I just don't look at them and say like, oh yeah, I think they're really like a team that I'm confident can get to the Super Bowl. Like I don't know. They seem like they're always going to get to the divisional roundish and kind of play a better team that's just more well-rounded, and they're going to lose. So I have us winning that and moving to 8-2.
Yeah, I have a win as well, and pretty much like piggyback off what you said, I think their defense just is what kind of turns me off of them. I think I'm pretty sure last year, like first 3 quarters or half of the season at least, their defense struggled, and then they started picking it up. Their offense is what makes you think like they got a high ceiling, as a team, but you kind of limit Wilson, you shut down Chris Carson, and offense doesn't get going. It's probably not even going to be that much of a game because their defense gets up a lot.
Yeah, their defense was so bad. Yeah. And it's like, Wilson, I feel like last year they had the whole let Russ cook thing, which worked for a little bit, but I just feel like, I don't know if Russell Wilson's the type of guy that can completely go a full, there's a reason he's never had an MVP vote, and it's because he hasn't really been able to go a full season of just being the guy carrying an offense on his shoulders. He's a very, very good quarterback, but it's just, I feel like with, a really large volume and with a bad defense, like it eventually catches up to him. And so, I think we should be able to get a good win here. And then we move to week 11 at the Minnesota Vikings. And this I do have as a loss. I think the Vikings, as always, kind of present a little bit of a tough matchup for us with Dalvin Cook especially. And they do have some weapons with Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins has been a solid quarterback. And their defense last year was not very good, but it is improved this year. So I'm giving us the loss here, but not a terrible loss by any means, but just and someone just said Packers Vikings always seem to split. They're just tough games. All these divisional games are tough, so I don't think anyone would be shocked to see us split against the Vikings. So I have us 8-3 after 11 games.
I have a win here. This is another one I was tempted, but based off some of my other picks or picks coming up, I gave the win to. But yeah, if there's a game we lose, it's probably this one because we pretty much, we usually have taken care of divisional opponents at home, especially. And,
under LaFleur, dude, we've been awesome against divisional opponents.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the one game I kind of have circled for, especially in that, week 7 to 12 range, like you said. But win for me.
All right, so you have us 9-2, I have us 8-3, and then week 12 against the Rams at home. This is going to be another fantastic game.
Yeah.
And it's a 325 game, and I don't like doing it because I hate giving us back-to-back losses, but I am giving us a loss here. I think the Rams are going to be really good this year. They now have Stafford, like the one thing that they kind of needed. They always had the good defense, but you just couldn't trust Goff. They now have a quarterback that can kind of sling it, higher volume guy, can push it more down the field. They have the offensive weapons and with Robert Woods and with Cooper Kupp. And running back, unfortunately, Cam Akers got hurt, so he's out for the year, which should hurt him a little bit. But they do have Darrell Henderson behind him, so they should be fine there. But that defense is going to be really, really, really good, which is the main thing that scares me. I did these originally, and I was like, I have no home losses, which I feel like is just – I feel like they're going to lose one at home. So I was like, the Rams definitely could beat us at home. Stafford is kind of used to playing in Lambeau. He might not be as fazed by it as other guys. So I think I'll give us a tough loss here in back-to-back losses to move us to 8-4.
I have a loss here as well. And that was my big thing. The Rams defense, I think, this might be a game where right before the bye week, you're coming off a rough stretch of games. Defenses might give you fits because you know how they are. Aaron Donald obviously leading them. And Stafford's got experience playing the Packers, playing at Lambeau. Somewhat high-powered offense. By then, they're probably clicking because it's middle half of the season.
Yep.
That's a game where it's like, you know what? You keep it close. You don't play your best game. It's right before a bye week, some tough games before. It's not like it's a bad loss. So. Yeah,
exactly. It's that one, the Chiefs one. Like, those are ones where you're like, okay, you play that game against a Super Bowl contender, which I think the Chiefs will be a Super Bowl contender. I think the Rams are a Super Bowl contender probably. And, they're just games that they'll probably be really good games, and hopefully you just don't look like crap. And especially, against a defense like that, as long as they put up some points and are able to look good against a good defense, that's like, okay, like those Niners games a couple years ago where they'd play that Niners team and just get wrecked.
Yeah.
That's a different feeling than losing a close game where you lose 30-6 or whatever they lost. I don't remember what the score was, but it was ugly. So at least keep that game close. And at this point, I have us 8-4. You have us 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the bye week, week 13 bye, which I think is a decent time to have a bye. It kind of splits it pretty much close down the middle. If you're going all the way to close to the Super Bowl, you're going to have 12 games of bye. Then you have 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10 games after that. So close to the middle. So I don't mind having a late bye. I think it's pretty nice. And then after the bye, a home game against the Bears. And I do have us winning this. Coming off the bye, we should be able to handle the Bears. And I know they're going to have Fields will probably be more acclimated by then. And the Bears are a good team. Like I have us winning both against them. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. I think these are supposed to be tough games. But I think having them after the bye is very helpful. And this game being at home, this is now a December game, I believe. It's a night game. So, yeah, December, I think we can take care of them. So 9-4. And what do you think about the Bears game?
Yeah, I have a win as well, 10-3. Same reasons you said, bye week. Take care of the Bears at home.
And then another tough game. Again, all these are just difficult games. Someone just said week 9 onward is rough. It's just brutal. Like every single game, there's no game where you can play off your game and still get be comfortable with a win. Yeah. So next week at the Ravens, and I am going to give us the loss here. I think the Ravens are now they don't have J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards also just got hurt, which should really hurt their running game.
Mm-hmm.
But Lamar scares me, dude. Lamar, a mobile quarterback like that, doesn't give me very much confidence. We're scarred from the Colin Kaepernick days still. So I don't know. The running attack that they have and the defense that they have, I think it's a good combination to beat us. So and on the road, if this was at home, I'd pick us to win, but on the road, I'm gonna give us a loss. So that's 3 losses in 4 games. I don't like doing it. I don't think we're gonna play bad, but these are just it's a tough stretch. So giving us the loss here.
I have a win here. I think this will be another one of those resume confidence builder games. Even though I'm really not sold on the Ravens, especially after those injuries.
Yeah.
I think their defense is pretty strong. Maybe it was last year. I guess that's the thing. Defenses can kind of vary. There's guys that step up for a year and then get hurt or.
Yeah, I'm expecting theirs to still be pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, probably a tough road game. Lamar does scare me a little bit, but if you can kind of contain him, then I'm not too worried.
So you have us 11-3, which would be probably in contention for that number 1 seed at that point. I do have us 9-5. So I think there's going to be a little stretch here where we're saying, okay, like we got to get these wins here at the end of the season to really get a high seed, make sure we're in the playoffs. Browns, Vikings, Lions to close out the year. Browns at home in December. This is definitely a game we could lose if it wasn't. I trust us in December. Like there was a game last year against the Titans where I was like, we could definitely lose this game. But I was like, nah, it's December. Like a December Lambeau game. This game is on Christmas. I'm not the Packers to ruin my Christmas. I'm picking a win. So they do have the run game. They do have Odell Beckham, and the defense isn't bad. But I do like the Browns. Like they definitely could be they're a contender this year. But I think this would be a good win for the Packers, something that really gets them back going in the right direction. After I have us 3 losses in 4 games. I think they'll get back going in the right direction here, and I think they'll look good in this game and kind of get some confidence going into the playoff stretch. But 10-5 now after this game.
Yeah, I grab a win here at home. Don't see Baker coming in and beating us. Do you have Odell on any of your fantasy teams?
One. I think it's on my dynasty team. I have him.
Okay. He was slipping very far in the draft this year. I was surprised. I picked him up because I think I got him at like 86. It was like a round. I was like
with how talented he is, you never know.
Yeah.
I like that value there. So, all right, week 17. I forget that there's now 18 weeks in the season. So week 17 against the Minnesota Vikings at home. And I had us losing the first one on the road, so I'm definitely going to have us I'm not going to have us getting swept by the Vikings. Do have us winning this, moving to 11-5. And again, home game in December. I trust us to take care of business here. Right any wrongs that we had in the first game against the Vikings, where I was losing, and get another big win that they're going to probably, these will be games that they need. They're going to be really, really pulling for these games. Really, really get, they're not going to be resting, guys. If this goes the way I expect it to be, they're 9-5 going into these last 3. They're definitely going to be trying very hard to win these games. And so I have us winning this one 11-5. What do you think of this one?
Same for me. So I actually have us going 6-0 in the division, which I definitely could see. But wouldn't be surprised if there's a game or I don't know, or 2, but maybe a game in there we lose. But yeah.
So I'm going to give you the Lions win then as well. So you have us finishing 14-3. And yeah, I also have us beating the Lions on the road. Could, if we come out sluggish, could definitely give us a scare. But as I just mentioned, these are going to be games that the Packers, I don't think they're going to come out slow. I think they'll come out ready to go. They're going to need these games. So none of that lackluster type offense where they just aren't looking into it. I think they'll be fine. So 12-5 I have us finishing at, and you have us 14-3. And yeah, I mean, I think 12-5 is somewhat on the lower end. I think that the lowest they could probably finish is like 10-7. That's probably my floor. Like if they, lost all these games I had them at, plus lose to, the Chiefs and the Seahawks, or like a game against the Bears, something like that, they definitely could lose 7 games. But I think 12-5 is like a realistic, without being crazy about it, prediction. And 14-3 is easily in the realm of possibility. If the offense looks like it did last year, Rodgers looks like he did last year, and the defense can improve a bit, running game, they easily could go 14-3. They were 13-3 the last 2 years, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. So those are our schedule predictions, and now we'll get into some other predictions we have. I'm going to share my screen here. So these are other just questions and stuff to answer about the Packers season, other than just record stuff. We have over/under and different questions to ask here. So I'm just going to get this set up really quick, and we'll get into it. All right. So these first ones are all over/under. So we're going to play the over/under game. Brandon, over/under 4,300 yards for Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to go under. I'm expecting a big year from him, but that's pushing a lot of yards, definitely doable. I'll go under.
And some of these are from, I looked up the actual betting odds and what they have them at over/under. So
okay.
He has that, his over/under was 4,300 when I looked at it. He had 42.99 last year, which was a lot in his MVP season. You had the 17th game. I do think he gets over here. I think he's going to throw for quite a few yards, but we'll get to it right in this next question. I don't think the touchdowns will quite be there, but I think the yards will be. I think he's still going to throw for this would be about 250 per game, which I think he'll get. And I think moving the ball down the field is going to be a lot of the pass, the passing game that gets us down the field. But answer this next question, which is over under 39.5 pass touchdowns. I'm going to have him slightly under because I think in the red zone, a lot of those touchdowns, close to the goal line went to him last year, which was kind of the opposite as before. Or in 2019, I should say, when a lot of them went to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had like 16 touchdowns in 1 year rushing because they would just get close to the goal line and they'd run it in all the time. Almost all those touchdowns went to Rodgers last year. That's why he had 48 in 16 games last year. But I don't think he even reaches 40 in 17 games this year just because, again, he had a 9.1 touchdown percentage last year, which is the highest of any quarterback since Peyton Manning in 2004. That just doesn't happen. I mean, the rate he was throwing touchdowns was just absurd. And from inside the 5-yard line, he had 22 touchdowns, which is 5 more than anyone else in the league had. So that number, just by the law of averages, by expected outcomes, like that should go down. Not to say he's going to have a bad year. It's just the touchdowns might not quite be there. I think some more will go to Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon inside the 5-yard line. So I think it'll be over 35, but under 40. So slightly under for the touchdowns. What do you think for 39.5 pass touchdowns?
I'm going to go under, but I think he'll be really close. I think he'll be 37 to probably 39 range, honestly.
Yeah.
Kind of the same reasons as you said. I guess we'll talk about it a little bit with the running backs, but I think I'm expecting a really nice year from Dillon. I think they're going to use him a lot, and I think, his power as a running back is going to be huge for third downs, goal line, stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, this isn't to say the offense will be worse or anything. I think they're still going to get in the red zone the same amount. They're going to be, they're going to be in scoring territory. It's just I don't know if those touchdowns will quite be at the same rate for Rodgers himself. Next up, we have Aaron Jones, over under 1,100 rushing yards. He had 1,104 last year, and 1,084 the year before. So he's been very close to this mark the past 2 years. I'm going to go under, and I think it's mainly because I think AJ Dillon will have a bigger role, and I think Kylan Hill too will have a little bit of a role the way he's looked in the preseason. So I think it'll be slightly under for Aaron Jones. What do you think?
I had under, but I'm going to go over, or I was going back and forth, I should say, just because kind of the extra game, kind of like you said with Rodgers, and I do think Dillon's going to have an emergence, but I think he'll be more on short yardage situations. So Jones always has, a few games to bust open a lot of yards, big runs that I could see. So.
And then how are you feeling, Aaron Jones, over under 11.5 TDs?
There I'm going to go under because I think Dillon, is going to take some of those touchdowns away. I do think Dillon takes some of those touchdowns, but I am still going over. I think this will be, again, they're going to get in the red zone a lot. Like the offense just was playing good last year. I think they're going to still be that way. But the balance between pass and rushing touchdowns, I think, will even out. And they scored like 60-something touchdowns last year, and I think 48 of them were pass touchdowns. I think that number will be closer to about 40-20, where I think they do get to about 20 rushing touchdowns. So I think it's very possible that they both have a lot of touchdowns. So I'm going to go slightly over for Jones. I think he gets 12 or 13. And then the next question, AJ Dillon, over under 4.5. I'm going over as well. I think he gets about 7 or 8. And I just think there's going to be a lot of rushing touchdowns between both of them. They're both going to have their role. So I'm predicting Rodgers is going to have a lot of yards, do a lot through the air. That's a tough schedule, as we've already went through. It's a tough schedule. We're going to be behind in some of these games. We're going to have to run. I don't think it's going to be games where we're blowing teams out. But as far as near the end zone, I think it'll even out, and I think the touchdowns will go more to the running backs. So how are you feeling, AJ Dillon, over under 4.5? I'm guessing you're over. Yeah, I'm over, and this number seems a little low, but I guess considering he's never really had a role really with the team, it's not super surprising. But I'm really excited for him this year because I'm a big AJ Dillon fan.
Yeah, I put it at 4.5.
Okay. I didn't know if that was Vegas or. I don't think it was. I might have looked up projections or something. I just don't know what his role is going to be completely. He could definitely, he might not have a role yet. They might just say we're going to wait till Aaron Jones comes back to really unleash him. But I would imagine he will have some work near the goal line to get him over 4.5. If you had to put a number on it, how many would you say? I feel like probably 6 or 7.
Yeah,
which is, I was gonna say, which is pretty much what you said. And like I said, like you're on the 2-yard line. As much as I like Aaron Jones, I'd rather give it to Dillon and just run up the middle.
Yeah.
Because of how strong he is.
All right, we'll move forward with Devonta Adams, over under 1,400 yards. I'm going over. I just wrote an article where I actually said I think he gets – it sounds crazy. I think he gets over 1,600 yards if he plays all 17 games. He was at – the only thing that's kept him from, like, having these crazy yardage season is just he misses a couple games. He's not like consistently hurt. It's just he always misses, like, a game or two. 2 games in 2017. He missed 1 in 2018, 4 in 2019, and then 2 in 2020. So he just always misses a few games, but he still puts up these monster seasons. Last year, he was on pace for 1,668 yards if he played 17 games. So I definitely think 1,600 is a possibility. And to get over 1,400, he just basically has to play probably 15 of 17 games, and he's going to get there because the amount of targets he's going to get, the amount of times he just gets open, and how good he simply is, I think he's gonna reach some crazy yardage totals if he plays a bunch of games. So, how are you feeling about 1,400?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over as well. Yeah, I just think him and Rodgers are, they've shown how great of a connection they have, but I think it's gonna be, even better this year. So
yeah, and then
you can't stop him.
Yeah, you simply can't. Like I don't know how teams don't. I feel like teams go one-on-one against him so much, and I'm like, it just simply, like, do you not realize that it's not going to work? I mean,
yeah,
you would think they would just put multiple defenders on him all the time, but teams just consistently do not do it, and he makes them pay. So next up is over/under for Devonta Adams, 13.5 touchdowns, and I did say Rodgers' touchdowns will go down. I'm going to go slightly over here. I think he'll be at probably 14 or 15. So I think he'll get about 14 or 15 of Rodgers is like 36, 7 touchdowns. And I mean, how many did he have last year? 16. I gotta look. Hold on a second. I gotta figure out how many touchdowns. I think he had 18 touchdowns. 18 touchdowns last year for Devonta Adams. 16 coming in the red zone on 37 red zone targets. Rodgers loves going into the red zone. I mean, he had 37 red zone targets, which is the most in the league easily. I think the next closest had like 30 or something like that. And so even if Rodgers' touchdowns go down, I think he'll still have a ton. So I'm going over here.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I think he'll probably be at 14 or 15, which is still really good. But just basing it off, Rodgers spreading the ball around and, like, the touchdowns, because I've kind of just been, like, I was writing that down trying to figure it out. And, I mean, that'd be a lot. That's a big percentage of, touchdowns going to him. So, especially because there's going to be, like, Jones, probably gets a couple out of the backfield, receiving touchdowns, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, he had 18 out of the 48 Rodgers touchdowns last year. So 15, 16 out of the 38, 39. Like, I think it's near the same type of percentage. So, yeah. And again, there's no reason not, like, he consistently goes through in the red zone. He's always open.
Yeah.
And so I still think the targets are going to be there. I just think he's going to have a bunch of touchdowns. He'll at least be close to this number. I don't know if he'll get quite over it, but he'll be at least at double digits for sure. Now we get to Randall Cobb, over under 4.5 touchdowns. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm going to go slightly over. I think I have him probably at 5 or 6. That's a good number. I mean, Rodgers is going to target him. He's going to target him on the 3rd and short situations, over the middle, stuff like that. But I think he'll get his handful of touchdowns.
I am also going over simply because of Rodgers goes to the guys he trusts in the red zone, and he loves Randall Cobb. So I think he'll go slightly over. I'm not predicting a crazy touchdown season for him, but I think he can get enough. He'll have probably a game with 2 touchdowns, and he'll get to 5 or 6, maybe 7 in the year. So I do have him over there. Now, Robert Tonyan, over under 7.5. How are you feeling about Tonyan?
I'm going to go over here because it's going to be – I'm trying to keep it based on the fact that I went under for the passing touchdowns too.
Yeah.
So some of this – because that limits, you still got MVS, Lazard, whoever the backup tight end is. But I like Tonyan a lot. And as you just said, guys he trusts. Tonyan, great hands last year. I don't think he had maybe 4 drops or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but he had, like, hardly any drops. and they're good friends now, whatever. So
I'm gonna go under for Tonyan because I said the Rodgers pass needs to go down. Adams gonna have a lot. I think Cobb kind of takes some of those Tonyan touchdowns that he had 11 last year. He was consistently a guy that Rodgers went to in the red zone. I think he gets replaced a little bit by Cobb. He'll still have a good role. He'll still get some touchdowns, but I'm not going to predict too many. And as you said, MVS and Lazard both are going to need some. And we'll get to them in just a second. But I am going to go slightly under. I think the touchdowns that Cobb gets and AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones are going to kind of replace the ones that Tonyan had last year, those were kind of surprised. Like we didn't expect him to get 11 touchdowns last year. That was kind of crazy. But all right, let's move to the defensive end for a second. Kenny Clark, over under 4.5 sacks. What do you think of this one?
I'm going to go under just slightly.
You're going under. So I am going over. I think he only had 2 last year, and he had 6 in each of the previous 2 seasons before that. But he did have injuries and only played 58% of the defensive snaps last year after playing 84% the year before. So he was not on the field as much. And I think with the new defense, he should be able to we talked about how he can kind of move around more, find favorable matchups, get more one-on-ones. So I think he should be able to get improve his sack numbers especially from last year, and get back to the 6-ish, 7-ish that we know he can get to from the previous season. So I'm going over here. Maybe a big year for Kenny Clark. Next, does the defense finish in the top half of points allowed? How are you feeling?
I'm gonna.
They were 18th last year, by the way.
Okay.
So just outside the top half.
Okay. I'm gonna say no. Then I think that's a pretty good spot, just because I think Alexander's been really good. Talk about Savage later, but I really like Savage at safety. I'm not a King fan at all, but maybe he can make a little jump. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also going with no because there's still those concerning spots. The corner opposite Jair is still concerning. Kevin King has not been consistent. They did draft Stokes, which I like, but I don't know if he'll be able to really come in and be great right away or do a ton right away. Like, not many guys do. And then, in our linebackers, as always, are kind of a problem, the inside linebackers at least. We got Devonta Campbell, sorry.
Yeah.
I was reading that clearly wrong. Devonta Campbell in the offseason, but he's now in his 3rd team in 3 seasons, which is not like a great sign. If he was that good, I don't know if he'd be bouncing around so much. His PFF grade was pretty low last year, so I think we should kind of limit our expectations when it comes to him. I don't expect him to come in and be great. And Chris Barnes behind him, like, that's nothing special. They never seem to have great linebackers. I don't think this is going to be different this year with that. So linebacker and that second corner are going to still be things that I think are going to limit our defense and prevent it from being really good. So I still think it'll be a pretty average season defensively. I like our pass rush. I like our safeties. I love Jair, obviously, but there's just still some weak points there that I think we won't quite. Not gonna be much worse defensively, but I think they'll be about the same, and just a average to slightly below average defense that has some good games, has some good moments, but not able to really be consistently good. So we both said no there. Next up, who becomes the wide receiver 2? Marquez Valdes-Scantling or Lazard or someone else if you really think so. I'll let you go first here. I got a different answers.
I'm gonna say Alan Lazard because I really like Lazard. I think he has great hands. He runs solid routes, finds a way to get open, post routes, stuff like that. I thought he was gonna have a little bit bigger year last year, but I think it kind of got hindered with it. I think he was out for like 5 weeks, maybe around there, with that injury. So I think that hurt him. So I think a healthy year would be huge, or could go a long way. And I personally think he can be a really good number 2. He's got good size.
So I'm gonna say my answer to this is neither, and it's not that someone else does. I think there won't be a guy that just breaks out and becomes a wide receiver, the second receiver on the team. I think people are projecting MVS to do that and really take a step. I don't know if he will. I think there's always going to be those kind of consistency issues with him. He'll improve it, but not gonna. I don't think he can. I don't think he'll be able to really just break out. Lazard is going to be that steady guy who you kind of know what you're getting when he's out there. nothing crazy. The upside's not there, but a solid option for every receiver. I think they're both going to be good this year. I have them both at about over 600 yards. So both having productive seasons without one of them really taking a leap and reaching 800, 900 yards and becoming the clear-cut wide receiver too. I don't think either guy does that. I think MVS will have his big plays. He has the higher upside for sure, but the consistency is not there. Lazard has more of that consistency, and so I think they're both going to have their moments and have their games, but neither one really breaks through. And just like I think we're going to look back at this and be like, who really is the receiver two? I don't really know, and I think that's what's going to be at the end of the year. Next up, does the offensive line remain as dominant? I'm definitely going to say no to this because Bakhtiari is out for 6 weeks at least. Mm-hmm. They're going to be starting, it looks like, probably 2 rookies.
Yeah,
are going to be starting. So Elton Jenkins at left tackle, we know he's really good. Lucas Patrick at left guard, and then you have Josh Myers, the rookie, at center to replace Lindsley, who we lost in the offseason. And then another rookie, Royce Newman, is probably going to be starting at right guard, and Billy Turner at right tackle. Still a solid unit. You got Jenkins and Turner, who have been very good, and hopefully those rookies can step up, but it won't be quite as good. And later in the season, it might get better as Bakhtiari comes back, as the rookies get used to things. But there's definitely could be some issues, at the beginning. I don't think it's going to be a fantastic offensive line as it has in years past.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, with the rookies, especially at first, you're going to struggle. So I'll say not as dominant, but could definitely, get back to close to maybe what they were. But it's a big loss at center.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Most improved players on offense. I'm going to go with MVS. I said he's not going to take a huge jump, statistically. I don't think he's going to have an insane. He had 690 yards last year. I'm going to put him around 700 this year again. But I think the consistency will be there more. The big plays might go down slightly, and he'll be more of just a more consistent option, but it'll help us overall. Like, I think we're going to look at it and say, wow, MVS is a more reliable receiver, a guy that we can trust a little bit more. So that could really help change things for us. So I'm gonna peg him as most improved. I'm
going to go AJ Dillon. Kind of contingent or basing it off the fact that I think he's the clear-cut number 2, and I think he should be, in my opinion. But so if he gets a bigger role, stuff like that, it's hard to say improved when he hasn't had an opportunity to really prove himself. But I'll go there. Otherwise, I would say Lazard. Not that you have to put it down, but I like Lazard a lot. So yeah.
And people do kind of forget about Lazard. Like, again, the injury last year, like he wasn't able to really do a ton, and when he's out there, he's just a very solid option. So certainly a good pick there. I think he deserves a little bit more recognition for being that second, third guy. And then on defense, I think the most improved player, I'm going with Rashaan Gary. They've talked really highly about him. The coaches have improved a lot last year. He went from just 24% of the snaps his rookie year to 44%, which still isn't a ton. But even while playing under half the snaps, he was second on the team in both sacks and pressures. So even if he doesn't play, they have Zadarius Smith, they have Preston Smith. Even if he doesn't get all the snaps, he's going to still be really productive. And I think his playing time is going to definitely increase from last year. So he'll continue to just go up. And again, they've talked about how they love him. They think he's been fantastic. His potential is really there. Zadarius is currently battling a back injury, which does open things up even more for him. And 2 sacks his rookie year, 5 last year. I think he can definitely get to even 8 or 10 this year and become a really big part of this defense consistently. I think the Packers are going to be really good this year. They got, Kingsley, Kiki, I think will have a good year. So I am going to go with Rashaan Gary to kind of break out and show signs of being that, potential future star for us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually, when I saw you have that, I had him as well because I think he had a really nice second half of the year last year. Like you said, he was on the field more, getting more snaps. So hopefully he takes that big jump this year.
Yeah, week 16 on, I think he had best PFF grade among edge defenders, and so he, over the course of the year, he got a lot better. And I think they kind of see that, and they know he's on the upward progression. They're going to give him more playing time, more opportunities and stuff. So it's really excited to just see what happens with him.
Yeah.
Next up, rookie of the year, and mine is going to be Josh Myers, the center to replace Corey Lindsley. because I do think his role is going to be, he's coming in and starting immediately, and he's probably going to start the whole season. He's going to be a guy that they need to play well. And so I think he's going to be just the most important rookie, and I think he'll play pretty well and be a solid center replacing Corey Linsley. So he's my pick mainly because of the opportunity he's going into and because of how important he's going to be to the team.
Yeah, I'll go with him as well. Part of me wanted to go. I thought Amari Rodgers could maybe have I want to say like nice emergence, but I just think we have too many weapons on offense, and with the fact that Myers has a chance to start probably whole year, that's huge for a rookie. So
yeah, I think Amari Rodgers takes a year to a little bit to get going. If I don't think he's going to come in and do anything crazy right away. He'll have some plays, some splash plays here and there, but I don't think he'll. I just don't know if the opportunity is there to really be a rookie of the year type candidate.
And obviously our first round pick, Stokes. I mean, like I said, I'm not sold on King. So if he's hurt, like he has been in the past, maybe Stokes emerges. But it's tough to say with a rookie, especially a cornerback, because he's going to go against these experienced receivers, even if they're, average NFL receivers, and he's probably going to get burned one, because he just hasn't played in the NFL. So
and last but not least, before we close things out, your final result, like how far do you think the Packers go? Where do they finish in 2021-22?
I think I had it last year, but I'm not gonna say win. I'm gonna say Super Bowl, because I really do think, especially if this is Rodgers last year with this team, with all the stuff that's going around. They just said Devonta and Aaron really like the feel of the team this year. I think we at least make it. And I don't want to say I'm content or happy with that, but I'm itching to get back. All these years of we have the chance. I just want to be there because, once you're there, anything can happen. You got Rodgers, you got all these guys. Definitely could see us winning, but hopefully we at least get there.
I'm gonna say, again, this isn't saying they're going to only get here, but I'm gonna say NFC Championship. I think that's about as safe as I can get. Where I'm confident picking them to that point. Mm-hmm. After that, it's just tough for me to say because there are those really good NFC teams. The Niners, the Seahawks, the Rams, who else is in the NFC?
Tampa Bay,
of course. Yeah, Super Bowl champs. I was I'm forgetting someone obvious here. But the Bucks. That was not sarcasm either. I didn't know if you were doing that on purpose. That's why I started. No. I hate Brady, but Tampa Bay is obviously legit. So there's plenty of teams that it depends on the matchups. They have to go through if somehow they have to go through both Tampa Bay and the Rams.
Yeah,
that's different than if they just had to go through one. So I think they can get to the NFC Championship, and then after that we'll kind of see. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they got to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna pin it on the NFC Championship. I think they get back, and let's hope they can get over the hump. And finally, as you mentioned, just get back to that Super Bowl. I gotta see Rodgers in another one, man. If this is the last dance, it's gotta end in some type of dramatic fashion where they get over the hump a little bit. And it would be awesome to win a Super Bowl if this is going to be his last year. But we don't know for sure. There's questions still, but who knows? But let's just enjoy the ride and appreciate that we got another year with him, with Devonta and Aaron Jones. The whole core is back. So looking forward to another great year of Packers football, and they should be contenders as always. Week 1 tomorrow, 3:25 at the Saints. I am itching to get back to Packers football. The Bucs won the title. We've kind of had this period of I'm not a Brewers fan, but the Cubs suck, so not much to really follow. I'm kind of getting into college football lately, but it's going to be so great to have football Sundays and the Packers back. So those were our predictions. As I said 12-5 and at least get to the NFC Championship. Brandon has us 14-3 getting to the Super Bowl. And so that's it. Packers tomorrow. Go Pack Go. I got to mention Bucks and 6 as always. We will catch you guys next time. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.